Hey guys, hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Kshitij, aka the Rustic Wanderer. In today's video, I'll be talking about 20 different kind of bread varieties that come from India that you probably did not know about. So let's get started. So the first kind of bread that is very popular in an Indian restaurant, whether you're visiting it as an Indian restaurant overseas or even in India, is the naan bread. Most of the foreigners seem to know that naan bread goes well with curry, and it's not their fault, it's just that the restaurants overseas typically serve naan of various kinds. It could be the cheese naan, plain naan, butter naan, garlic naan, or other varieties of naan. For those of you who do not know what naan is very similar to a pita bread. And in India, we typically cook it inside a tandoor, which is a clay or a metal oven. But did you know that naan is just confined to a restaurant, but typically in an Indian household, you would normally not find people cooking naan and consuming it on a daily basis. So what is it that Indians eat at home? You're about to find out. So most of the breads that I'm going to talk about today come from specific parts of India, but some are eaten at various parts of India. The breads that come from specific parts of India, I'll be showing on a map to let you know where they come from. So the first kind of bread that I want to talk about is the Baati or the Bafla. This bread is very close to my heart because it comes from two of the most important regions that I grew up in and has my family heritage. So it comes from the region of Rajasthan, which is the dry desert region of India, and I was born and brought up in Rajasthan. And the second region where you can also find it sparingly is Madhya Pradesh, which is where my family heritage is from. Now, Baati is prized for its long shelf life and high nutritional content, especially in the desert areas of Rajasthan, because it requires minimum quantity of water to bake it. And it's commonly eaten with dal or the lentils, and typically the dish altogether is called dal bati because of the combination. In Madhya Pradesh, I've also found it being paired with aubergine mash, which Indians also call as the bharta. Bati is also very closely related to another bread called the Litti, which is popular in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Normally, Bati can either come as a plain or with some fillings, but I prefer the one that is served plain and topped with loads and loads of ghee. Next up is the Bhakri, which is round, flat, uneven bread made from the pearl millet, found typically in Maharashtra on the west coast of India. Next up is the Bhature, which is a bread and is widely eaten across northern India as a street food or a snack. And Bhature, as you can see it from the picture, is a fluffy, gigantic, deep fried leavened bread. So it is quite heavy, and normally 1 to 2 Bhaturas is more than enough to fill you up for the rest of the day. Next we're going to talk about roti, which is a staple in most parts of northern India, and depending on what flour it is used to make the rotis, there are several different subcategories of rotis. For example, if you use wheat flour, there's typically called chapati, folka or roti. That's the standard roti when we say roti, and it's very commonly used in a household on daily basis. So we don't usually eat naans or bhaturas in the house. Typically it's the rotis that we eat for day-to-day consumption. If we use corn flour instead of wheat flour, it is called Makka Roti because Makka means corn. So Makka Roti typically goes well with the saag, and it's very good for the winters. Also, if you use finger millets, then it is Ragi Roti. And also, there is another variant of roti which is called the Rumali Roti, which is Rumali means handkerchief or paper-like, very thin, and this is literally what Rumali Roti is. So you would see people spinning the dough around in air that basically helps stretch it in all directions and makes it paper thin. And then there is this inverted dome-like dish which is heated from the bottom, and then this roti is baked on top of this inverted dome, and it is served hot and made to order because once you leave it and it cools down, it's not really that good to eat because it starts to become a bit rubbery in texture, and it goes really well with some meat gravies, for example, or you could pair it with literally anything. But it is not so easy to find the Rumali Roti in most of the restaurants I've found. At least the 5-star restaurants still give them, but if you go to a roadside restaurant, typically it's a bit difficult to find it. Also in Gujarat, they use this millet flour to make Bajra Roti, Then you might also hear this word Tandoori Roti sometimes. So as I explained already, Naan is cooked in the tandoor, but there is also this Tandoori Roti version where if we make the roti, it's a bit thicker than the regular roti that we cook in the homes on the flat tawa. And you throw it inside the tandoor to bake it inside the oven, and then you serve it hot. You could even put some butter or ghee on the top if you want, or you can even have it plain. But the catch here is that the naan is made from refined flour or maida, whereas the wheat flour is used for making the tandoori rotis. Next, let's talk about the paratha. So just like a roti, the paratha could also be made from wheat flour, but while toasting it on the pan, we could add a few drops of oil, could be the regular cooking oil or could be ghee or any other oil of your preference, which makes it a bit more crispy, and it is pretty useful for breakfast. Typically, we have it with pickle or some leftover vegetables of the previous night. You can even take it with you in your tiffin for picnic food. Normally, the basic version of paratha is plain, but it could also be stuffed, for example, with potatoes, paneer, or onions, or radish, or any other filling of your choice. Also, in some parts of India, you could even find parathas made out of refined flour and eggs, and those are typically called as Malabari Parotha or Mughlai Paratha. Typically, the whole wheat flour parathas come in two shapes, could be triangular or square. If you remember, we talked about Bhature just a short while ago, which are these fried layered breads. If you imagine shrinking the Bhature to a smaller scale and replacing the refined flour with the wheat flour, what you get is what we call as Puri. Now, Puri is typically, at least in my house, used to be made during the festivities because it is fried, so it is not healthy to have it on a day-to-day basis. And you can typically pair it again simply with pickle, or potato bhaji, or chickpea curry, or any other vegetable of your choice. Now, instead of talking about generic North Indian breads, we focus specially on Maharashtra, on the west coast again, and we're going to talk about what is called as Puran Poli. So Puran Poli is a sweet flatbread stuffed with sweet lentil mash, and this is prepared using the husk split Bengal gram, which is also called as chana dal, mixed with jaggery. So it is quite healthy, it's a bit sweet, and it's a Maharashtrian specialty. After Maharashtra, we go to the state of Gujarat and talk about this flatbread called Thepla. So just like the parathas, Theplas are also good for breakfast recipes and come from the region of Gujarat on the west coast of India. And they are made from whole wheat flour, oils, and a mix of spice powders like red chili, turmeric, and a few other things like salt or crushed fenugreek leaves and so on. And the people of Gujarat, the natives, like to eat it with curd and mango pickle. And I remember the shelf life of theplas is quite long, so they are also exported abroad. So in case if you're traveling for long distances and don't have access to a fridge, for example on a long haul flight, or if you're just a student moving to a new country for the first time and you feel like you're going to miss homemade food, this is one of the things that Indians like to carry with them in their luggage as a snack. For example, if you have dietary restrictions, or in case if you are someone who really loves home food, you can bring a pack of theplas with you, and they really last quite a long time. And next, we talk about a flatbread that originally finds its origins in Iran. So it's a saffron flavored traditional flatbread called Sheermal and was introduced in North India by the Persian Mughals. Typically, people of Lucknow, Hyderabad and Aurangabad really enjoy it as a part of Awadhi cuisine. So if you imagine, it is something similar to a naan, so it is still leavened bread made out of refined flour and baked in the tandoor. It's saffron flavored this time. Basically, the difference between preparation of naan and sheermal is that in naan, to prepare the dough, you would be using water. Instead of water, now you replace it with milk sweetened with sugar and flavored with saffron. Just like sheermal had its origin from Iran, the next bread that we're going to talk about has origins in modern day Bangladeshi cuisine. So the bread that we're talking about now is called Bakarkhani, and it originated in modern day Bangladesh during the Mughal period. While the Bangladeshi people use it as a breakfast snack, especially in the old Dhaka region, In India, we customize it to our own liking, and it has various different forms throughout the Indian subcontinent. The one form that is very particular is the one in Kashmir. So the Kashmir variety of Bakarkhani is thinner than the actual Bakarkhani, which makes it crispier, and they sprinkle sesame seeds on top of that. So just like the naan, there is also another mildly leavened bread which is widely consumed across the North India, especially as a part of street food. This bread is called the kulcha, and it's typically served with chickpeas, and as opposed to the naan, it is not leavened with yeast. This is something that is leavened with yogurt and water mixture, and you don't need a tandoor to bake this. Next is a typical North Indian breakfast, I would say, that is sort of a pancake. That's the closest neighbor from the Western cuisine, if you like to compare the two. And it's made out of gram flour, and it's loaded with lots of veggies, and you can easily have it with a mint chutney or tomato ketchup or mustard sauce or any other dressing of your choice, and it makes for a really amazing breakfast. Some people actually even refer to them as vegetarian omelette, so it's an alternative to the actual egg omelettes, only this time you don't need eggs at all. It is just a simple batter made out of chickpea flour mixed with water to bring it to the optimal consistency, and mixed with vegetables and basic spices like salt and turmeric and red chili. And then you just bake it like a pancake on a pan. Next, we talk about another bread typically used in northern and northwestern street food recipes. It is called pav, which you can see in the inset now. Sometimes it is also often called as the ladi pav. It is a soft and puffy street style bread, and it is typically made with plain flour and dry yeast. You can either serve it with a curry of your choice or scrambled eggs, or you could even stick in a patty inside. So in Mumbai, Maharashtra area, you get this thing called vada pav. You also get this as misal pav, which is a sort of spicy gravy together with the pav. So there are different variations of how you can have this fluffy puff bread. Now let's take a closer look at some of the breads from the southern tip of India. And typically in South India, the staple is rice, whereas for North India, the staple is wheat. So you will start to see this difference in the kind of breads that we're going to talk about now, as they will be primarily made from rice-based flour. So the first bread that we're going to talk about is the Appam. And Appam is also known as rice hoppers sometimes. These are soft, bowl-shaped pancakes as opposed to the Cheela, which was a flat, regular pancake. And they're typically made with fermented rice batter and coconut. So the catch here in their typical design or the way to cook is that they're kept crispy and lacy around the edges, and they're kept thick and soft in the middle. These are very famous in the state of Kerala, and they can be paired with vegetables for an amazing breakfast. Continuing on the line of pancakes, next up from South India, we have this dish called Adai, which is also known as mixed lentil pancakes or South Indian pancakes. They are made from green mung beans, which is why they are typically green in color, and they are served with vegetable curries. And they are not so widely kind of known to people, but they are extremely healthy. Next up, we talk about dosa, which is more like a crepe. So we are going from pancakes to crepes now. And it's made from batter which is made from fermented rice and lentils. And it's extremely thin, and it's a very common breakfast for a South Indian household. And it's normally stuffed with some amount of potatoes already spiced up and prepared in advance. So they just put some potatoes in the middle, and you pair it with sambar and coconut chutney on the side. So if you imagine sambar is more like a curry from the south, it has all the necessary spices and ingredients, and it makes for a really amazing breakfast and also a nice street food. So continuing our journey through South India and talking a bit more about the South Indian pancakes, we have one last choice for you, which is called the Uttapam. These again make for an amazing South Indian breakfast and are also served in the North Indian cuisine as an amazing and easy to make breakfast. And these pancake batters are made out of lentils, rice, vegetables, and herbs and spices of your choice. Typically in a South Indian household, you would again pair it with sambar and chutney, mostly coconut chutney. But if you don't have access to those, you can just have it as it is. It makes for an amazing breakfast option as well. The catch here is to make the batter slightly sour, for which sometimes people even use the leftover batter of the dosa as it ferments based on the previous day's leftover batter. And that makes for an even better uttapam. And then we save the most unique kind of dish for the last. We're going to talk about papadums, or papar as we also call it in short. And there are several different variations, and these are more like wafers or crispy flatbread. While all the other 19 different kind of breads that we discussed in the past in this video are served as a part of the main course, papadums are served more as an appetizer or a taste maker on the side. They do not form for a complete meal by themselves. However, as Indians, we've always come up with customizations of our own. So as you can see from the picture in the inset, we've put in some tomatoes and some onions, and we have now transformed this into a masala papar. So it has really nice flavors, and it makes for a really nice appetizer. Depending on where you're from, papar can have different names, and it is made from different ingredients, and it is also prepared in different ways. So for example, some papars need to be fried. Others, you can even bake them in an oven or just toast them on an open flame. And with this, we complete our journey to exploring 20 different breads from various parts of India. So the next time you go to an Indian restaurant, you do not have to settle for just the naan. Try asking the chef if they could provide you some different kind of bread for you. Could be any one of these from the list here. Some of these breads are harder to prepare, so probably the unit economics don't work well in the favor of the restaurant, so they would politely decline. But for instance, you could ask if they could make some roti or parathas for you. That could be possible. That's easy to make. You could ask for papadums. Most of the restaurants even give them as a complimentary snack when you dine inside. If they don't, you could always ask for them. So give it a shot, try different variations of bread the next time. Most of these breads are even easy to make at home yourself, so you don't even have to rely on a restaurant to prepare them for you. So do give it a shot and comment down below to let me know how you like this video, and if you've tried some other forms of bread that are not mentioned in this video, do let me know so I can also educate myself and learn more about various breads from different parts of India. I hope you like this video and other videos on my channel. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and keep showing your love and support. This is Rustic Wanderer signing off.